Hi everyone, welcome to the first part of the tutorial for Babies Coming Home, written by Jerry Reed and as played by Chet Atkins. As always, a quick thank you to my top tier patrons first. The first two parts of the tutorial will be released on YouTube. For full access to the whole archive, please check out my Patreon page. If you only need the tab or notation file, then click the music notes link down below in the description. The tune we are about to look at is a great tune for beginning fingerpickers, as it is nowhere as difficult as a lot of modern fingerpicking songs. I stick mostly to the original, but I have included some more modern details as well, mostly taken from live versions by Tommy Emmanuel. Since it's aimed at beginners, I will keep the tempo nice and slow, and I will also provide alternatives for the chord shapes that might scare off any new recruits. Ready? Off you go. Okay, straight to playing then. All you need is a guitar in standard tuning and a thumb pick. Although I guess it is possible to play this song without a thumb pick as well. There are no high speeds to be reached. There are no special techniques in the song. So if you want to give it a go without a thumb pick, feel free to do so. Let me try and play through the verse one time, already a little bit below concert speed, so you can get the first good look of what you're up against. The repeat of the verse. There's a few things going on in here. There are a few voicings with the thumb over the side of the neck, but I think I managed to find an alternative for each and every tricky bit. Let's have a look at the opening section. You start with a C chord, but you don't need to fret the entire C chord. Just 3rd fret ring finger on the A string, middle finger 2nd fret on the D string, and an open G string. You start out by playing the A string and the G string together, and then you alternate D string, and you then alternate the ring finger to the low E string, 3rd fret. We've done this type of bass move a lot of times before. To the low E string and back. So A string, D string, E string, D string, and back to the A strings. And the ring finger just jumps back and forth between those two strings. Now at this point, Chet Atkins changes the fingering. He will go for the pinky on the bass note, so he can drop down the ring finger on the 2nd fret on the G string. Tommy uses a different approach, and he just keeps the ring finger to the bass line and then adds the index finger behind the middle finger. So you either get this, and now pinky 3rd fret instead of alternating back with the ring finger, and that leaves you with the possibility to fret a full C 6th chord, which is the most efficient way of playing this section. And in that case, you just play bass line A string, this time with the pinky. You fret the 2nd fret with the ring finger to the D string with a thumb pick, open B string, alternating with the pinky now to the low E string, and then dropping down the index finger on the 1st fret B string for the last melody note. That is the way Chet Atkins plays this small section. And you can leave everything ringing out. Tommy goes for a slightly different approach. He plays this. So he doesn't use the pinky at all. He keeps the ring finger to that alternating bass line down below, and then drops the index finger behind the middle finger to the open B string, alternating with the ring finger down, and then leaving behind the G string, releasing pressure and switching to the first fret on the B string. That is the fingering Tommy uses, no pinky at all. So for people who struggle with the pinky, or for instance people who play this on a classical guitar with a really wide neck, keep training the pinky, but in the meantime you have an alternative. So once more, Chet's version. Or Tommy's version. Those are the two options you have. Whatever you do, you then end up on an E dominant chord. You start out by just playing low open E string, middle finger 2nd fret on the D string, open G string, we're going to hammer on with the pinky in just a second, and then the 3rd fret pinky on the B string. And you hammer on, you just pick the low E string, open G string and the B string at the same time, and you hammer on to the 1st fret right away. That is the opening section of that bar, and then you alternate with the middle finger. You switch to the A string and you drop down the ring finger to give you a full E dominant 7th chord down here. And by putting down the ring finger, you can just alternate through the bass line without changing anything else in the chord. That is the full bar, and then depending on which version you pick, I think Chet Atkins then plays 2nd fret on the D string, 3rd fret on the A string, 2nd fret on the A string to an open A string. And I think whenever I see Tommy play it, he doesn't play the 2nd fret up here, he plays an open D string. So again, Chet's version or Tommy's version. The only thing that is different is whether you fret the 2nd fret on the D string or you leave it open. I think it sounds rather nice with an open D string in this case. To the low open E string. This is also a section where Tommy or Chet often leaves out the muting altogether. So you mute the bass part, and then when you play that descending bass line, you just let go of any form of muting at all. So that is ending up in the 1st beat of the next bar. Before we go there, let me play through the first 4 bars all the way through. One time, first in Chet's version. Pinky. To the A chord. One more time with Tommy's fingering. Stick to the ring finger. Whatever option you pick, you then end up on an A chord. You start with an A power chord, open A string, middle finger 2nd fret on the D string, ring finger 2nd fret on the G string. Easy enough, just alternate through the bass line. A string, D string, E string, D string. Next bar. Last chord sounds a bit strange, but as soon as you connect it to the next chord in the next bar, it will sound fine. So you start open A bass string, then you pluck an open B string before heading to the bass note on the D string. Then you drop down the index finger to create a full A minor chord, and you pluck the G string and the B string at the same time. Down to the low E string. And that is the first 2 beats. 1 and 2 and 3. And now the next fingering is important to get right, to get the transition into the next chord. Drop down the pinky on the 2nd fret on the B string and transfer the index finger to the 1st fret on the D string. That's that strange sounding chord that will make sense as soon as we connect it to the next bar. So the full bar. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4. As as I said, that last chord will make sense in just a second. So make sure that that fingering, dropping down the pinky and transferring the index finger is exactly right, that you end up with this index finger, ring finger, pinky, and the middle finger is available at the moment, but we will use it in a second. One more time, that last bar around A minor. And then you're going to shift that up one fret and you're going to drop down the middle finger on the 3rd fret on the A string, giving you a C dominant 9th chord. And that is when it makes sense. If you connect those two bars, and now it makes sense, just moving that up one fret more and everything connects. Then we end up in that C dominant 9th bar. Not much is happening, so you're holding down this chord, 3rd fret, 2nd fret, 3rd fret, 3rd fret, but you do need an open E string on top. So you start by playing the A string together with the G string and the B string, alternate bass line to the D string, and then you play an open E string on top. Down below, the middle finger will once again alternate between the 3rd fret on the A string and the 3rd fret on the E string. And then as you go back to the 3rd fret on the A string, you're going to remove the ring finger and the pinky and drop down a full bar across 3 strings, G string, B string and E string, on the 3rd fret using the ring finger. This is again a C dominant 9th chord, but now you're going to add the pinky on the 5th fret, and this is going to hurt for some people. In just a second I'm going to give you an alternative that is a little bit easier to play, but this is what Chet plays, and Tommy. 1st bar of C, dropping down the bar, and on the 2nd bass note, so first you have a bass note, just the C bass note, and then on the bass note on the D string, you pluck the D string, B string and E string at the same time. And then still you have to alternate to the low E string with the middle finger, before removing the pinky, just playing the melody note 3rd fret on the high E string. That is exactly what the original does. And this is a lot to ask for some people. If your hands are a little bit smaller or your playing posture isn't 100% up to scratch, but that big stretch and then alternating with the middle finger to that different bass note, it's quite demanding, this section. You can make it a little bit easier. That's the original, or you can play this. It's not the exact same thing, but it does give you the melody without that awkward stretch. So what I'm doing is I'm playing a bar at the 5th fret across the D string, G string, B string and E string, and a small bar across the A string and E string on the 3rd fret with the index finger. So the index finger only presses down on the 2 bass strings. Picking pattern is the exact same thing. A string, then the melody note together with the D string, to the low E string. No need to alternate, you're pressing down on 2 strings at the same time. And then you sort of lift up the bar and you make sure that you keep pressure on the 5th fret on the D string. That is one alternative if you don't want to go for that really big stretch. So one more time, the original and the alternative. In terms of melody, it's almost the exact same thing. Let me connect that to the 1st bar of C dominant 9th. Original, and now the alternative. See, so it's possible to combine those two. Before we continue into the next bar, let me play those 2 bars back to, or those 4 bars back to back. Original, or maybe one time with the alternative. one single bass note at the start of the second bar of the C chord, that is what is going to give you the time to switch over to the bar. Before we tackle the second half of the verse, I'm going to play through the first 8 bars all the way, one more time, really slowly. So there you go, the first 8 bars done. You can now play half of the verse. Take all the time you need to get this down, and I'll see you in part 2 for the next 8 bars.